All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Game number 3 of the night between Team Summon and Gold Gaming LA. Hopping into picks and bans, I am Malphus X. Joining me now is going to be Lunette the Herald. Lunette, welcome to the stream.
Hi, I'm surprised someone actually gets on stream and says my name right for once, which is surprising considering it's not terribly difficult to say.
I did want to call you Looney the Herald, but I figured that was probably not going to be very well received.
Looney's okay. Looney's okay. Just don't call me Herald.
Herald?
Just please don't. Studio did that last night. It was terrible.
Oh, I'm sure he was just trolling you. He's the classy guy in that studio. I'm going to go ahead and
Exactly.
apologize. The summoner blockers are they're going to be off by about a pixel. Unfortunately, I didn't have the assets in time to check and make sure that everything was just absolutely pixel perfect. But this will be more or less there. So sorry to everybody who's going to be super disappointed with me with that. I take all the blame or the credit as you may see it. But anyhow, bans coming out here fast and furious. Team Summon going to go ahead and ban away Lissandra and Nasus. Gold Gaming LA banning away Nunu and Shen. And kicking it back over to Team Summit. Lunette, did you have a chance? Were you watching along with the first couple games of the night?
I was actually watching along with the majority of the games. I was in and out, but I have to say they were really enjoyable. That last game, though, some of those team fights, just sitting there smacking my face into the desk. But overall, great games. That Scion pick, though, really took me by surprise.
Yeah, it was so old school, right? It's just like it was so old school. It's been so long since I've seen a Scion mid. It was a refreshing breath of air, but I don't know that it was one that really paid off all that well for Curse Academy.
Yeah, let's go ahead and go with that. Next up on the ban board, we've got Jayce and Zed being taken out. So those final lineups of ban champions going out for both GGLA as well as Team Summon. Going to be Lissandra, Nasus, Jayce, Nunu, Shen, and Zed. What do you think about these bans so far?
I think they're all, relatively standard. It's a little bit of a target ban coming out there with the Zed. Jayce, yeah, it's interesting. I haven't had enough time on the 3.9 patch to really see exactly how strong Jayce feels. Like the tier of the Goddess nerf, specifically with him, like where stance dancing out of his ultimate isn't going to stack tier anymore. Those are very, very strong nerfs because a big part of Jayce's gameplay was at that like 18 to 20 minute mark hitting a really, really strong power spike when you finish the Mermana and just going crazy and killing everybody. He's not going to have the opportunity to do that as much anymore. So it's kind of interesting. I think Jayce is going to need just a little bit more settling time, at least for me to make up my mind on power level. You see Team Summon, they've obviously already made up their mind. They have no interest in seeing Gold Gaming LA with that champion, and they use their last ban to take it out.
Exactly. We got the first couple of picks going off right now. Looks like Team Summon going to be picking up Thresh immediately and hovering over that Renekton. Now, I have to say, Renekton has been really quite the dominating force in MCS and in general in the more professional scene right now.
Absolutely. So, all right, taking a look here. They've got the Twisted Fate, they've got the Elise. That's a really, really scary tandem to all of a sudden show up at a bottom lane, right? Like Elise shows up out of a brush with a repel, is able to dive in on you, get the cocoon down, and that basically disables you for long enough for Twisted Fate to gate in behind you, and he's got the gold card to lock it up as well. That in and of itself, it's not quite the Twisted Fate Nocturne combination that we see a lot of people running, which has kind of similar goals, but instead of locking people up with CC, it locks people up with Vision, where you can't actually see TF is coming in or that he's gating anywhere, which is really, really good both for lane ganks and as well as for late game team fights. But it's still in and of itself is a very, very potent combination, and I like this pickup here. Not only are they going to have the Twisted Fate, they're going to have Rumble up in the top lane, who Rumble versus Renekton is a very interesting matchup. It's a very, very skill-based matchup, but any skill-based matchup gets tilted towards the side of the team with Twisted Fate, because at any point, you can have an extra member in that lane to just drop a whole bunch of burst damage and a good amount of CC.
Exactly. That mid game is going to be really important on the part of both teams. Twisted Fate being able to come in there and execute those ganks properly is going to be absolutely invaluable at that point. Of course, Elise is going to be there helping at one point or another, but that kind of global control that they've got going right now is going to be absolutely devastating if they can execute it properly.
So we're seeing sitting on the Oriana right now. The thing about the Oriana, that's going to be a tremendous amount of team fight lockup if they're able to combo that up correctly. You use the box, and then you've got the command shockwave going out. There's a chain of corruption as well. That's a pretty good amount of AOE. We see. Might we see our first Spirit Guard Udyr? Could it be? It's going to get locked in. Sicko Scott, he's got the Udyr.
This is actually a really interesting pick to me, simply because right now Team Summon, they're going for such an AoE heavy comp. They want to be right in the middle of those fights. They want to burst down those ultimates. You want to have Thresh's Box, Varus ultimate, Command Shockwave coming out, as well as Renekton with that sort of percentage based damage coming off of his ultimate, just doing devastating amounts when everybody on obviously GGLA is grouped up. But while Udyr has the ability to kind of go in for a hard engage with Bear Stance, getting that extra move speed in there, and Slice and Dice will allow Renekton to kind of dive in. They're not initially the champions you think of for really team fight initiators for this kind of composition. You generally think of individuals like Jarvan or even somebody like Malphite and Amumu. Granted, they're not really played at this kind of level, but you'd expect champions like Hecarim as well. So this is really interesting for me to see, and I'm curious to see if it'll actually pay off.
And oh my, Vayne going to be the last pickup, so that once again we're going to see the Vayne Nami lane. It worked out pretty darn well for Complexity in the last game. We'll see if they're going to be able to bring it back out. You got to wonder, Udyr is going to be very, very frustrated by Nami and Vayne. Like that tandem, whenever he tries to come in for a gank in the lane or even in the team fights, he's going to have, it's going to be relatively easy to hit him with the bubble. While he does have really, really high move speed, and that normally makes landing that Aqua Prison very, very difficult, he does have to run in a straight line, whoever he actually wants to hit. So that makes it a lot easier to lock that down. They also have the tidal wave if he's got a couple teammates behind him that they can use to lock all that up. And then Vayne's going to be able to both tumble away and use Condemn. He's also got to try to get through the Cocoon. He's got to try to get through the Electro Harpoons from Rumble. He's got a tall task ahead of him if he wants to lock down those squishy targets and get all that nice, tasty, Phoenix-y Udyr damage down. That's another thing that'll be interesting. I wonder if he's going to go with the Phoenix stance or the Tiger stance. Tiger stance is more single target damage, but Phoenix stance is that extra AoE, the extra clearing power in the jungle, the extra split pushing power in the lanes. I don't know. We'll have to see exactly which build he ends up going for.
Yeah, somehow I don't think it's going to be a priority for him to go into that Phoenix stance. He's going to have to concentrate a lot more on ganks, especially early on, because they don't want to change any 2v2 situation, obviously, into a 2v3 with Twisted Fate or a 1v1 into a 1v2. So I imagine he's probably going to be going for that Tiger stance and really wanting to get in there with those ganks.
So, we'll have to see. The biggest thing about Udyr is still, a lot of people are kind of still getting used to the changes that were made because he's not a champion that's played super, super often. Realistically, the big thing that was changed was when they gave move speed onto his passive. When Monkey Stance started to go, I think, is it Monkey Stance? No, that's not what it's called. Monkey Agility, I think it's called, is the name of his passive, where that actually gave him an additional move speed. Now whenever he changes stances, it makes him so incredibly strong in the very, very early game for chasing people down and catching people out of position. And also Bear Stance was given a little bit of a lunge when it's actually landing a stun. So that gave him those little bits and also Bear Stance is unit walking now, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's another thing that they did. Just all those little mobility tweaks that really they were trying to find a way to get Udyr back into a very viable state without making him the immovable object that also deals insane amounts of damage when he's in the top lane. So we'll see what Sicko Scott's got coming out of that jungle Udyr this time. Is there any other matchup, interesting matchups that you're seeing before we go into ads?
I'm just really curious to see what's going to happen down in this bot lane with Bunny Fufu, especially on Nami, simply because that Nami Vayne lane has been so potent lately. We've seen it sort of come to the top as this dominating force, both in solo queue and obviously in matches like this for tournament play. So I'm really interested to see what's going to happen down in bot lane, simply because it's such a potent combination.
We'll have to wait to the other side of these advertisements to find out. Guys, stick around. Game number 3 of the night between Team Summon and Gold Gaming LA right after this. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Week 2, Day 3, Game number 3. Team Summon going up against Gold Gaming LA. I'm Malphus X. I'm joined by Lunette the Herald. And, Lunette, Skin War, who are you going to give it to here?
I'm sorry, it automatically has to go over to the blue team right now. Team Summon, of course, rocking that Spirit Guard Udyr, but more importantly, that Oriana skin and that Arclight Varus, too OP.
I don't know, man. Gothic Oriana. I mean, for me, you can either go with TPA Oriana, or you can go with the what's it called? Oh, why did I just blank on this right now? Not Stone Chaos, not Gothic.
No, but Stone Chaos is the best. You're thinking of Bladecraft, by the way, but Stone Chaos is the best. You get to throw around a giant pincushion. What's not to love?
Nah, Bladecraft's just so good. I mean, it's just so cool. I mean, I do like the color scheme. Unity here coming out from the Death Blossom Elise, the Underworld TF, and the Dragon Slayer Vayne, and the Nami. Like, I like that. But Rumble's he's the combo breaker, you know? And just because of that, Gold Gaming LA, they just couldn't quite pull it out.
Rumble's blue, doesn't he fit?
Nah, it's the background. It's all about the background. Like, okay. It's like this violet, indigo, like bluish background theme that they had going on. But I'm right there with you. Spirit Guard Udyr making his debut on his release day. So happy birthday, Spirit Guard Udyr.
Pro tip: if you want to win professional games like this, you always go with a color coordinated team. That's the way to do it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's just no other way. It's such a huge advantage. But also to check out the Summoner icons as well. There were 3 Spirit Guard Udyr icons, or 2 Spirit Guard Udyr icons over there for the side of Team Summon. So definitely lots of people shilling out lots of RP for Riot today. But anyhow, into the game we go. Team Summon and Gold Gaming LA going to get things started out here. People buying items and making their way out onto the Rift.
Yep, and it looks like we're just going to go ahead and take care of those summoners right now. Go ahead and sort them out so they're all nice and lined up for our viewers. But it looks like we're going to have just a standard start right now. Everybody's kind of dispersing into their jungle, and GGLA looks to be taking a very defensive position around red buff. And oh my goodness, my laptop isn't plugged in. That's problematic.
Oh, Grim Samurai walking into a brush, going to take a massive chunk of damage, but going to be able to learn himself a little slice and dice, get back out. Does pop the ghost. Hook goes down onto Bunny Fufu, but Bunny Fufu is going to turn around and hop through the forest as Locust cannot get any follow-up damage and pick up that kill.
Malphus, you're really good for covering me. Thanks, I appreciate it. The ward is going to go down in that banana brush on the part of Team Summon as GGLA is going to go ahead and go for the invade on their blue.
Yeah, they recognize the fact that they just have a little bit of extra strength. They knew that Renekton was taken down low enough that he was going to have to base, so they're going to be able to take that opportunity just to stroll through that blue buff area. They're going to be content just to throw a ward down on it for now. And it'll be interesting to see what the lane assignments are. The fact that Umashi is the only one who's blue pilling back to base, it looks like we're going to be seeing the 2v1 lane swap as Vayne, Nami, sort of predictably, going to be heading up to the top lane. We talked a little bit in the last game about how Vayne is not necessarily the AD carry you want to take into a 2v2 all the time. Team Summon, are they going to go for the pink ward on this, or are they going to be content? No, there's actually no pink this right now. And he didn't start with any of them at all. So, not going to see any sort of ward wars. They're going to be content to just let that ward stand, and Udyr's just going to start there instead.
Yeah, we're not going to see the counter lane swap either, so both Thresh and Varus are heading down to bot lane. Now, lane swaps are always a very precarious situation, but more importantly, it does look like GGLA is going to try and contest this buff. Nami coming up here, she's going to land the Aqua Prison onto 2 individuals, and now Vayne in here as well, doing her best to pelt out that damage as Udyr takes a chunk of his health.
Yeah, he's going to be taken back up, but at the end of the day, Udyr is going to be the one securing the blue buff. They weren't able to, force any additional burn summers out there. Sicko Scott, he did just burn his ghost, didn't he? So that is another ghost down. So that's going to be, one less ganking tool that he's going to have available to him in the early game.
It's also going to help out in this top lane right now. Vayne and Nami, well, they've got the potential to harass out Renekton right now. They're looking at a situation where he doesn't have those escapes. He's coming in a lane at half health, and despite that death sentence missing in the bot lane, they're going to have the advantage just because they're going to be able to harass him out that much easier.
And Rumble is a pretty strong 2v1 champion, honestly. He's got the ranged farm that he can get with the Electro Harpoon. He can also throw up a Scrap Shield if he sees damage coming in. And then once it gets onto the tower, he can use Flame Spitter to get some good wave clear down. So he's got a lot of tools as far as just keeping the tower alive. It's hard to get a whole lot of CS from that, but realistically, keeping the tower alive as long as possible is what most of these teams want when they go with these 2v1 swaps. They just want to try to kill the tower as quickly as possible, keep their own tower as healthy as possible, and then use that extra map pressure and use that advantage that they built for themselves to parlay that into some early team fight wins.
Right, so we've got Wapachang coming down right now, doing his best to go ahead and help out Umashi, wanting to go ahead and keep them from getting any early pressure down onto Rumble himself or that tower. But you can see in that top lane that Aqua Person is going to go ahead and land. Grim Samurai looking, I mean, he's in a bad situation right now. Granted, Renekton can farm fairly well under tower. He's still going to get bullied quite easily.
Yeah, I mean, he's got pretty solid wave clear as well. We see right now, Elise just hanging out in the bottom lane. They're really prioritizing keeping this tower as healthy as possible and recognizing the push potential out of Thresh and Varus and going to do everything they can to keep that tower alive as long as they can. Meanwhile, Vayne and Nami getting massive chunks of damage down on that tower. They're going to be able to reduce it to a little under 1/2 just after that first, giant-sized wave comes up.
Yeah, and despite the fact that we had Scott coming up to try and help out here, it's just not going to be enough at this point. They're going to be in the same situation that Elise and Rumble are in right now. The only difference is they're not going to come out on top of this simply because of the fact that their tower is already missing devastating chunks of health.
Sicko Scott trying to get something done here, but there's the kite potential. Grim Samurai blinks forward, but going to get locked up there by the Aqua Prison. And, yep, that's going to be the end of the gank.
Exactly, just forced to back off. Now, this is one of the huge benefits of Vayne and Nami, why this combination is so potent. There's a lot of security in the early game for Vayne that you wouldn't normally have between the amounts of CC. Meanwhile, down in the bot lane, Elise actually forced to repel after that death sentence is going to land, and Wapachang is going to be forced out of there.
And that's, I mean, so much mobility out of the Elise as well. It's one of the big things that she brings. But Wapachang he's kind of forsaken the jungle. He's just hanging on the bottom lane. They're just saying, you know what, it's like Summoner level 4 again. We're just going to put 2 people down in the bottom lane, and nobody cares, really.
Oh, that pause. I always love seeing pauses in games like this, Malphus.
Oh, they're always the best. Pause is always the best. But we got a little mini-map blocker here in case the pause goes on longer than 3 minutes. Nobody's going to be able to spot any ward placements or make any sorts of calls like that. But, early game, everyone's just kind of farming out. We haven't seen as much action or excitement as we might like. Everyone's just kind of getting the summoners back that they burned at level 1. Grim Samurai's ghost is already back up. Sicko Scott going to have his ghost relatively soon as well. So maybe once they actually have those summoners back up, we might see a little bit more action up in the top lane area. But beyond that, it's probably going to end up being Twisted Fate hitting 6 that's going to precipitate the first major clash.
Yeah, he's just gone ahead and hit level 5, so, give it another minute or two and we're going to start seeing some very devastating ganks across the map as they aim to go for that global control, which right now is what GGLA needs to be doing. They need to go ahead and try and secure some kind of control over this map, and somebody needs to get first blood at some point or grab one of these towers.
Yeah, so we see Locust is going for the Mind Games hook there. I always love that. He's like just waiting for the hook, and it's like, okay, which way is he going to juke? And then end up throwing the hook behind the target. It's always cute to see somebody doing stuff like that, just to see if you can get in somebody's head. Because whenever you make those hooks, that's like the most demoralizing thing ever. Because it's like, okay, I tried to make a good juke, and I just ended up getting myself caught for it. And you just want to crawl into a little hole and just weep for a while.
Oh man, those are always fun. I guess the same kind of thought goes behind the Nami bubbles. I always get very amused to see how many times people actually run back right into them.
At least trying to get something happening there, but they aren't able to land the CC, and that's just going to end up taking a lot of counter poke damage there from Varus with that hail of arrows. Lots of good range damage.
Yeah, Wiz doing his best to farm right now. He's on par with Vayne at the moment. Vayne, of course, backing, so he's going to get a little bit of up over her in terms of CS, despite that fact. And it's also going to let Renekton kind of reset this wave and try and get back into it. You can see right now he is out farming Rumble, which is going to be great for him, but I'm curious to see if we're going to see him go for that Hydra build that we've seen become so popular on Renekton in this tournament.
And I'm also intrigued by the fact that Wapachang is spending so much time down in this bottom lane. I kind of wonder if this is just, okay, if Elise finds Udyr 1v1 in the jungle, she's just going to have to turn and run away anyhow. Like, Elise, early on doesn't really have as much damage until her skills are scaled up so they get their full, current or missing health damage. I don't think she can really stand and face Udyr 1v1. So I kind of wonder if they're like, okay, so if he goes for an invade, we're just going to end up having our Elise doing absolutely nothing. We might as well just stick her down in the bottom lane so that she can at least help keep the tower alive as long as possible.
Yeah, meanwhile, in the mid lane, it actually looks like we've had TF hit level 6, so hopefully we're going to see him backing soon and something come from that. In the meantime, Grim Samurai getting engaged on here. He's going to turn and burn his ultimate. Vayne forced to pop barrier after the Aqua Prison comes out, but it may not be enough. The exhaust going down under tower, and it doesn't look like they're actually going to dive. Scott backing out as Grim Samurai follows close behind.
And right there, you're seeing the mobility and the kite ability of Nami and Vayne. I mean, the tumble back, condemn, they've got the bubbles. I mean, not even level 6 yet, didn't even have to use that. Grim Samurai and Sicko Scott burned both their ghosts, Grim Samurai's Ignite, and Grim Samurai's Ultimate, and they got absolutely nothing. I mean, they got the exhaust. Okay, they got the exhaust, and they got the barrier, but realistically, that's not really that big of a deal. Nami's going to have her Ultimate up pretty soon, and they're going to be able to, I mean, the Summoner spell cooldown on Ghost is so high, they're not going to have any problems up in this top lane. Gold Gaming LA, they've got to feel pretty confident about the positioning that they've built for Vayne at this point.
Yeah, we even see that Scott has to come back up in here again, putting himself in that same position that Elise was in, just doing their best to keep this tower, because right now they're looking at Vayne hitting level 6 soon. She's going to be able to wail on that tower, even if it means burning her ultimate to go ahead and get that early map presence that they're really striving here by going for that lane swap.
Yeah, and it's all about just getting Vayne through. Like, if Vayne goes even with Varus in farm, Vayne won. Vayne is just going to outskill Varus. That's just how it works. Wappa Chang coming down for gank in the bottom lane with TF support.
Yeah, there we go. The TF ultimate coming out, and we see the Thresh Lantern well placed there as the gold card comes out. He's able to go in, hit that, and get out without an issue.
And that's just really smart play there by Locust, using the flash right away, recognizing that what looks like a greedy play for support isn't greedy when it's Thresh. If he's in a good position and can throw the Lantern down where he needs it, that's all he needs to do. That being said, that gank was a lot more successful than the gank we saw in the top lane, because they were able to get the flash and the barrier off of Fujin. They were also able to get the flash off of Locust. The Ignite is the only summoner spell they still have available down there. So the next time Twisted Fate has the ultimate cooldown back up, he might make a return visit to bottom lane.
Yeah, we may see that happen there again. They want to go ahead and get that added pressure, so keeping them from advancing too far on that bottom lane is not a bad idea at all. I also wouldn't mind seeing him ultimate into that top lane simply so they can get that added pressure that they're looking for up there. Again, striving for that map control, but both of these teams are finding it very difficult. These junglers have had great responses in order to keep these lanes and towers alive as long as possible.
Yeah, it's all about the map positioning. I mean, it's all about map positioning and putting farm on the correct targets. Also, we should point out, I was saying before that if Vayne goes even with Varus, Vayne wins. That's partially because of her scaling, but also because of the TF passive. But Wappa Chang, here's that return trip.
Yeah, and there we go. The TF ultimate out with Fujin. Unfortunately, not going to get out of this one as first blood goes down, and it looks like Locust may actually go down here as well. He's going to manage to pick up the kill on Elise, but no double kill for him. That is going to be denied, as Umashi is going to go ahead and get out of there while securing the kill on Thresh.
Really, really nice play there by Locust, waiting out on the hook, making sure that he could get as many kills as possible, flaying under the tower and pulling both of them further in. Also the death sentence, not the death sentence, rather, the dark passage, giving a little bit of extra HP, making sure that Wappa Chang and Umashi really had to dive far for that kill. Sicko Scott trying to answer back in mid.
Yeah, unfortunately, he will manage to pull out the gold card. Scott is going to be forced out of there, not managing to really burn anything from that, aside from maybe giving Twisted Fate just a little bit of a scare.
Absolutely, yeah. I really, really like the support play from Locust down there in the bottom lane, making sure that what could have been an absolutely devastating situation got turned back around, and at least they got something for it. Sure, it was only an assist for Varus, and it was a kill onto the Thresh, but, at least they got something in a situation where they had no summoners. There were summoners up on the champions that were chasing them down. They had the Rumble ultimate helping out as well. A lot of scary things there were thrown out, but they were able to get an answer back. So, nice play from Locust, able to keep them from snowballing that lead out too far ahead, because who knows? That could have been a pretty easy dragon if they were able to get back out with enough HP.
Exactly. You can see the pinks actually going down around Dragon right now. Wappa Chang looking to get some kind of presence over there. They want to go ahead and take this Dragon, obviously further their gold lead, which, they're looking at about 1,000 gold advantage right now. This game has been fairly slow-paced as it is, so I'd say that 1,000 gold advantage is going to be quite great. And there we go. We've got the Thresh Lantern coming out. As GGLH tries to go for another three-man gank down in the bot lane. It's just not working out for them. TF needs to stop concentrating on that bot lane because the same thing has happened nearly every time. But the Aqua person is going to go out down in top lane, and Grim Samurai getting exhausted now as Vayne pops her ultimate. There goes the tidal wave, but it looks like they may not be able to do this. And there we go, GGLA coming in, and Grim Samurai will take the final tick from Silver Bolts and go down.
But a nice response here coming out. They recognize, you know what, AD carrying support. They're still up in the top lane. We have AD carrying support down in the bottom. They're going to try to burn this dragon down.
Yeah, we have the Rumble ultimate coming out right now. That equalizer doing quite a bit of damage, but it's just not going to be enough. Udyr's going to go ahead and drag himself out of that, and Dragon will go down without too much of an issue. Twisted Fate trying to go ahead and push up here in the mid lane. That unfortunately not going to result in much either, as top lane is actually going to get taken now by GGLA.
All right, so they're going to be able to take that down. We also didn't point out one other thing that's going to make Udyr a better pick in this lineup is the fact that they do also have Oriana, where Oriana can just put the ball on him and give him the command dissonance speed as well, and then he can use his ghost if he needs to, pop a bear stance, try to get into the middle of the team, or they could even go another route. They could put the ball on Renekton and have Renekton get into the middle of the team so that they can get a good command shockwave right away, and then use that as the gap closer they need in order to let Udyr just go crazy on people. Udyr, I mean, he's a very, very tanky champion that does a lot of damage, kind of evidenced by his starting build. He actually just started with a Doran's Blade. He's like, you know what? I've got enough sustained damage in my kit that I'm good. Umashi gets hooked in bottom.
Yeah, we're going to see the box go out now. Umashi just standing around. He's going to go ahead and clip that, and there we go. That will be the end of him as Varus manages to pick up that kill. Ignite being used by Umashi, which is strange there, was Fujin getting nowhere near low enough to go ahead and pick up that kill. But it looks like the lanes have been swapped again, and Vayne and Nami are heading down bot.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit too late to really provide any dragon control, but they took down that top tower, and they're going to get back to bottom lane with their tower still intact. So that's going to be a little bit of global pressure that they're going to be able to apply. And at this point, Wapa Chang, he's about to hit level 9, which is like the ultimate Elise power spike once her Q gets up to max rank, and that's realistically where she can start turning this lane back around on Renekton and causing him immense amounts of trouble.
Exactly. Meanwhile, in mid lane, it's just become a farm fest. Oriana's got the slightest bit of an advantage, but Scott coming in, and Easy's going to have a problem now as the command shockwave goes out, and that is going to be a quick and easy pickoff for Sicko Scott.
Yeah, they just cleaned that up. Again, Udyr at this point, he's super tanky. He doesn't have to worry about the tower right now. Umashi coming through here, going to try to get something done. Sicko Scott gets a giant blue bear to appear above his head, and that's just absolutely terrifying until he turns around. The hook lands in bottom.
Yeah, we're going to have the engagement now, the Aqua Prison going down, as Vayne is just doing her best to try and kite around. She's got the tidal wave coming in, so of course that's going to help, but the third proc of Silver Bolts yet again going to go ahead and finish someone off. Varus taking the hit there, and that is going to be another kill for Vayne. 15 minutes in, 2 kills on Vayne. This is probably not the best situation for Team Summon right now.
Exactly, and Vayne's up 25 CS and has the Twisted Fate passive helping out as well. Ullum is going to get pretty terrifying pretty quickly. It's not going to be too long before he's going to have some really ridiculous item builds. He's already got the Blade of the Ruin King, which is kind of that first, like, okay, I'm Vayne, I'm going to go kill a bunch of people now. You add additional CC into her kit with the slow, which also haste her, which synergizes so well with her passive. Pop the ultimate, a good amount of AD to complement the attack speed you get out of that. And if you find anybody in a 1v1 or in a 2v2 situation where they don't have the CC or the burst damage to take you down, you can pretty much take just about any engagement.
Exactly. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at item builds right now. Bloodthirster coming out for Varus, and Vayne picking up that Blade of the Ruin King. So no real surprises coming out from the AD carries. Rumble actually looks to be building into that magic penetration shred build, going for that Liandry's right away. He's got that Doran shield on him right now, so that's going to help, obviously helped out a little bit down in the bot lane, and it's still going to be fairly helpful in the top lane. But interestingly enough, Renekton's not actually building for that Tiamat right away. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, it looks like Wapa Chang's managed to catch out and not butter. Quite a bit of damage going down, but Sicko Scott here to respond, so GGLA is going to be forced to back off.
He's just so scary. He's got big, like, glowing blue gloves on. What the heck? How do you fight somebody that has big glowing blue gloves on? Like, come on, get out of here. You're not going to do anything to that guy. There's no way.
You know, something that wasn't mentioned was the fact that in bot lane we had that secondary tower being burst down by Vayne, but more importantly we've got Twisted Fate coming out. That is not going the way he wanted to, but a nice condemn from Vayne will go ahead and secure the kill onto Wiz Fujin, as well as keeping Twisted Fate alive, as Locust is going to go down for the double kill on Vayne, and this is not looking good.
Yeah, 4-0 Vayne at the 16-minute mark with the top CS in the game. Oh, no, excuse me, 1 CS behind Oriana, plus the TF passive. That is just absolutely terrifying. I kind of expect to see GGLA look to group up and get some strong mid-game fights going down. They're going to wait for Vayne to hit 2, maybe 3 items, and they're going to recognize the massive power spike that she's had and just try to go crazy. We see a lot of members here from Team Summon trying to collapse down onto Ullum, but they're not going to be able to get there in time, as Grim Samurai just couldn't catch up with Vayne to get the CC down.
No, and unfortunately, Bunny Fufu also has her ultimate right now, so they wouldn't be looking at a situation where that would necessarily be possible for them. But a nice Condemn will go ahead and catch out Grim Samurai. He's going to try and juke up around this tidal wave, but it may not be enough, as a nice tumble and a failed slice and dice will seal his fate.
That was so unfortunate. He almost was able to pull that out. But, I mean, realistically, if Ulam wanted that kill badly enough, he was still going to be able to flash the wall and take it. Like, I don't know if he would have necessarily gone for it. I mean, Renekton, he was only 0-1, so it still would have been, 270 gold, or, I mean, pretty significant chunk of gold. But either way, I love the tidal wave. Like, that was perfect, because it's like, okay, I know that this is a really, really slow spell. It's probably not going to hit you, but instead I can use it to completely zone off the only escape route that's potentially fast enough for you to get away from Vayne. Just was able to essentially lock him up even without that spell hitting, and that's going to be a completed Phantom Dancer for Vayne. Blade of the Ruin King Phantom Dancer at 18 minutes. That is terrifying.
Now, we've seen Double Phantom Dancer become more and more popular, especially in the last few games that we've seen Vayne and MCS specifically, so I'm interested to see if we're going to see that kind of route right now, as they've got that Phantom Dancer and Blade of the Ruin King core build, so you're going to have that percentage-based physical damage coming out from Vayne, as well as the true damage from her Silver Bolts. It is just a scary situation for Team Summon right now. They have to find some way to combat this Vayne's damage.
And GGLA, once again, recognizing the massive power spike. They've got the Lich Bane on TF. They've got the Blade of the Ruin King and the Phantom Dancer on Vayne. They know they can take whatever fight. They're just going to roll up and take down the Dragon and say, okay, who wants to try to mess with us? I mean, Sicko Scott, he's a good... Udyr, if he's not the focus of Vayne's like spells and CC and Kite, is not bad at trying to deal with her just because he's so tanky and can deal so much damage. But it's just so hard to chase her down. And one other thing, too, it's going to come down a lot to vision. With the change in Oracles, that's actually a more attractive item to pick up in these kinds of team fights. You see Udyr's already running around with a Vision Ward. I wouldn't be surprised if he saves that until an actual team fight, just to use it to catch Vayne when she pops the ultimate and starts tumbling around and is trying to be as deceptive as possible. Udyr with Ghost on and his Bear Stance is going to be faster than Vayne, so as long as he's able to avoid the CC and maintain vision of her, he can, if not kill the Vayne, he can at least zone her out and keep her from dealing the immense amount of damage that she's going to have available to her.
Exactly. So right now, GGLA in a great position. They managed to go ahead and secure that dragon. They've got a tower advantage, and obviously Vayne is rocking all of those kills. So even though we've got the flash Death Sentence going out, followed by the Aqua Prison, the counter flash from Bunny Fufu will actually go ahead and keep her and Vayne safe.
Really, really nice play there as they were able to get out. They burned 2 flashes and were only able to get the flash away from the support there. So realistically, that's yet another trade going in favor of GGLA. And they recognize that there's so much strength down in the bottom lane, they just send 3 people up to the top lane and say, okay, let's see the 2 of you defend this tower.
Yeah, Renekton actually going to go in and engage here, forced to burn his ultimate. He's just going to get chunked down below half health and be forced to back out. Another Death Sentence going out in the bot lane, but it's not going to do terribly much, as it looks like Nami is right there to respond if anything were to go wrong.
And you see Grim Samurai, this is the second time I've seen him pop his ultimate just to apply pressure and keep the tower alive. Like, it's the second time he's popped the ultimate just because there was a decent-sized wave and a couple people threatening the tower.
Sicko Scott Udyr going in here. Yeah, we're going to have that dissonance on him, but he's going to get stunned, and there we go, Command Shockwave coming out, Wappa Chain coming in here, and this shield going down on it to Udyr. He will end up falling, Rumble picking up that kill as Oriana manages to get taken out by Rumble in the double kill. Varus, meanwhile, down in the bot lane, ended up picking up the kill on Vayne, and that will result in a 2-for-2 exchange across the map.
And that's just Nami being too far away. They were able to force a 2v2 and take down that just... like huge Vayne. Like, she's just so colossal. Grim Samurai getting really aggressive there. A little fortunate that Wappa Chang didn't land the CC.
Yeah, it looked like we almost had them going in for the gold card. Unfortunately, Grim Samurai just too far away for them to really make that engagement, but they did manage to take the tower, and that is what matters here. So despite that trade, again, we're seeing a situation where GGLA is going to come out on top. They've got good objective control right now, so even if they're only breaking even in these fights, they've got the late game scaling, they've got the objective control to make it worth it.
And more importantly than anything, I think Bunny Fufu is getting time just to stand on the bottom lane and farm. And that's really, you just want to farm Nami. Like, that's got to be the highlight of GGLA's strategy right now. This is the secret strats. S3 secrets.docx. Do you believe?
Exactly. Nothing more powerful than that right there. So buff's just going to be picked up at this point, and then we're really going to see the kind of grouping that needs to happen for more lane pressure from GGLA. They're in complete control of this match right now. Despite how close the score is, there's only about a 3,000 gold difference right now, and we've only got 4 kills, a 4-kill difference between the two teams. So, I mean, all in all, it's not completely out of hand. Team Summon could come back from this, but it's going to be a very long road ahead of them simply because thanks to Twisted Fate, thanks to the map control they've had during this game, Vayne is getting fed, and Vayne is a late-game terror.
Yeah, and the late-game terror is going to come a little bit early this game just because she's gotten so far out ahead. Sicko Scott, trying to press the advantage right now in the top lane, is just going to take a massive burst of damage and have to turn around.
Exactly, and now in a 2v1 situation in the bottom lane, it looks like unless Thresh comes out a little bit closer, they're not going to really have the opportunity to defend this tower. Meanwhile, in top lane, we did see that flash being burned by Rumble, wanting to go ahead and get out of there in the safest way possible. Not a bad idea. They don't want to relinquish any map control by making any, obvious mistakes. Rather be safe than sorry at this point.
I think Vayne has farmed more of the double golems than anybody else. Twisted Fate ultimate going down. The bottom lane didn't know exactly where he was, so they didn't recognize whether they needed to back away or not. Twisted Fate going to head up towards the, actually coming out towards the mid lane. Looks like he wants to help Wapachang apply a little bit of pressure down here.
Yeah, they should be easily able to take this tower, but they're actually going to be deterred as Oriana throws out a Q, and then we're going to have the gold card coming out from TF, followed by those wild cards, as it looks like Udyr and Renekton are up there to respond, as well as Thresh.
Yeah, Udyr at this point, he's got the anti-kite build done. Like, he's got the Boots of Swiftness with Alacrity and the Spirit of the Elder Golem. Ancient Golem. Yeah, Ancient Golem. And because of that, he's got the Tenacity, he's got the reduced effectiveness on slows. Alacrity is giving him so much move speed. That with his passive plus Bear Stance plus Dissonance, if he even has that, he is just an absolute rocket across the field. And you can't really slow that guy down for very long, and your slows aren't going to really do all that much to begin with.
Which is going to do great in teamfights, because we kind of talked about how if he's not the focus of teamfights, he's going to be looking to go on Vayne. But more importantly, Udyr coming in here, stunning Rumble right now. There we go, Grim Samurai popping that ultimate, and unfortunately Umashi is going to fall. So, they tried to make him pay for getting the blue buff and did just that, and unfortunately, that will not go to GGLA.
Yeah, it's a little bit aggressive of a play without having more coverage down to really help out. He just got converged upon by too many people and just didn't have the damage output. So, I mean, a little bit unfortunate there. Didn't have the flash available either to try to get out over the wall. But sometimes you got to just play a little bit aggressive, and sometimes you're made to pay for it.
Exactly, and it looks like GGLA actually wanting to go for the dragon right now. You've got everybody grouping up around here, but Sicko Scott has actually been caught out. He's going to get down very low, forced to pop that bear stance and just run out of there. Meanwhile, it looks like Easy's got that gold card prepped, wanting to go in here and essentially secure this dragon safely. Elise will go ahead and be able to take it, and that failed death sentence coming out will mean that GGLA will get out of there scot-free.
Exactly. Yeah, this is the Vayne build that I've been seeing so much of late. They just run Blade of the Ruin King first, and they just go double Phantom Dancer. It's like, dude, I move so fast, I attack so fast, I crit all the time. I'm just going to wreck anyone, and it's a really, really solid split-pushing build because of all the extra move speed. It's just so very, very strong, and there's no answer to it. Like, Varus can't keep up with her damage output with just a Bloodthirster and a Phantom Dancer. Twisted Fate going to go ahead and pop the ultimate, wants to get some aggression down in bottom lane.
Yeah, we've got that tidal wave coming out on top of the gold card. That death sentence will go ahead and land, but it will not be enough. That Aqua Prison going out, but now it looks like Vayne actually forced a flash out of here. As Sicko Scott comes in, he's going to be condemned away, take quite a bit of damage, with Fujin down very low as well, but Oriana is here and maybe looking for the opportunity to go in with a shockwave, but no, they're just going to be forced to back off.
And they finally kind of figured it out, right? They stopped going for the Varus and started going for the Thresh. It's like, where's your lantern now, bro? It just immediately pick up the kill, and now they're going to try to push out onto the tower as best they can.
Yeah, and Grim Samurai just trying to keep Wapachang right now from taking this tier 2 turret. They want to go ahead and retain as much gold as they possibly can. They want to try and essentially starve out GGLA right now, but it's not working out too well for them. Vayne, again, she's nearly completed that double Phantom Dancer build and is just a terror. They really need to go ahead and get Udyr set up, and granted, he's done a great job of working on that so far. Get Udyr set up to the point where he can run around in team fights and just chase Vayne down all day without having any issues.
Man, those tiger claws, they look so scary. They're just like, oh man, they look like they could just rip your face off from a mile away. I'm terrified. This Spirit Guard Udyr skin, I'm probably going to have nightmares about it tonight. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty terrifying.
Exactly. Now we've got Wapachang just going to go ahead and do a little bit of counter jungling right now. Grim Samurai trying to push out this top lane to keep it from, applying any more pressure that is already happening across the map. We've seen GGLA slowly begin to further their gold lead. It started out so small, and now we're looking at a situation where there's about a 6k gold difference, which is huge. Wapachang coming in here is just going to go ahead and repel over the wall to those double golems. Unfortunately, they know exactly where he is. A nice gold card coming out will possibly manage to save his life. Sicko Scott coming in here with so much move speed. Gonna manage to get that stun down. The flash coming out from Wapachang. Bear Stance reactivated here. That stun will go ahead and seal his fate as Sicko Scott is going to go ahead and pick that up.
Yeah, that Tiger Stance Udyr, you see how much damage it does. It's not just the extra attack speed, but that initial burst that it gets is actually a damage over time effect. So he's just able to just shred people down so very, very quickly and pick that kill up. Oh, sorry about that. I had a little tickle in the back of my throat there. But anyway, Sicko Scott is, despite the fact that he's down a significant amount of CS to Wapachang, you have to feel like their individual usefulness in these kinds of situations is just tremendous. Like, there's a massive gap between these two. And Sicko Scott, Udyr, he's just built to be a 1v1 nightmare. And he's proving to be exactly that.
And it actually looks like Vayne has decided to go for a static shiv, which isn't so surprising either. It fills a lot of the same utility that Phantom Dancer does, or going that double Phantom Dancer build does. So no real surprise seeing that on. And now we've got the Negatron Cloak actually coming out for Vayne right now. So I'm interested to see, most likely, Banshee's Veil going to go ahead and be taken out, not wanting to get caught out by that Oriana ultimate or that Death Sentence.
Oh, we see they're trying to get the hook down on the Bunny Fufu, but Bunny Fufu, he's in the forest where he gets hidden passive, because little Bunny Fufu always hops through the forest, so he's going to get a little bit extra move speed. It's going to be a lot tougher to track him down with the hook and pick that up. But, once again, it's all about map control. They recognize the fact that their AD carry is significantly ahead because of how many kills they've gotten and the fact that they're up 3 towers as well. So they know that if they force a 5v5 fight, they can win. So you just put an Oracle on the support, clear out all the wards near Baron, ward up the jungle, ward up the entrances, be aware of where the team is going to try to come in and engage, and you can probably pick up a pretty solid fight, maybe Baron and maybe the win. Easy, however. Oh, man. He had to flash away from that pretty quick.
That was a dangerous game right there. He got lucky to get out of that one. A well-placed flash will go ahead and just guide him out of the enemy jungle safely. Looks like Sicko Scott getting a little antsy here, coming up to go ahead and check things. He's got a lot of bulk to him right now. You see he's managed to pick up that Spirit of the Ancient Golem like we were talking about, as well as the Health Crystal and Doran's Blade. So he's sitting pretty on quite a bit of health and can kind of just go around and face check things.
Yeah, that Locket's going to be pretty huge. Locket is a great item up against Rumble because the Equalizer, they took away the front-loaded burst on the Equalizer, but the fact of the matter is it's still probably going to get 1 or 2 ticks of damage down. And at this point in the game, with the Haunting Guys already done and the Zanya's Hourglass, 1 or 2 ticks of the Equalizer is probably going to be roughly equivalent to the amount of shield you're going to get out of a Locket at this point anyway. So being able to use that, this kind of, now all you have to deal with is the slow. Right, as long as everybody gets off of the Equalizer right away, all they have to deal with is a slow. TF using the ult to reposition himself, as the rest of his team, they're going for a sneaky little Baron action here. They've got just Elise and Vayne on it so far.
Yeah, Sicko Scott actually getting caught out in the Aqua Prison right now, but they have a sneaky suspicion they know exactly what's going on. Sicko Scott actually getting condemned away. They're going to go for the stun now on Wapachang, but it's not going to be enough, as Sicko Scott will go ahead and go down here as the Baron is secured. Locust getting caught out by the tidal wave. That is going to be a double kill for Vayne right now, and this could be the game-ending play. Baron going to GGLA right now.
They're just so far ahead. That was 2 more kills for Vayne. The kill distribution here, it's all on Vayne right now. There's 3 kills on the Rumble as well. So that's realistically, that plus the fact that TF is who TF is and he's built as much damage as he has. You see, it's Rabadon's Death Cap plus Lichbane for TF right now, as opposed to like the Twin Shadows Lichbane build where it's all about move speed, or the early Zanya's Hourglass or anything like that. He's built enough damage that even though all of the gold is on Vayne, he's still a viable enough threat. Rumble is still a viable enough threat that the entire team can't just ignore them and go straight for Vayne. The gold distribution here for GGLA is just absolutely, it's just perfect right now. This is exactly what you wanted in this composition.
Exactly. It's going to be, it's getting further and further out of hand for Team Summon. The real question is right now, what can they do to come back from this? Baron is in the hands of GGLA. They've got nearly a 10,000 gold advantage at only 30 minutes into the game, and they've got a fed Vayne to top it all off. So the question becomes, Malphus, what do they do to come back from this?
I mean, it's an interesting question. They realistically have to get a hook down onto Vayne. Okay, that's still freaking out. There we go. All right, they do take down the tower without too much contest, and GGLA not going to choose to try to go in for the inhibitor. Not going to be greedy at all about this. They're going to go ahead and back away and try to make as much use out of the Baron as possible.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and back off here. I think what this boils down to right now is, like you said, a death sentence on Vayne, but that's going to be difficult as it is because she's building towards a Banshees right now. So she's, I mean, Vayne is looking at a situation where they're going to be able to go ahead and go in and potentially get caught out and still be okay even after that point. I think what it boils down to right now is just bursting her down, catching her out in that Oriana ultimate, as well as Udyr just sticking to her like there is no tomorrow. There has to be some kind of catch out here. I don't think realistically that they can win a 5v5 at any point anymore.
It's going to be really, really rough. I mean, Vayne at this point is 4 damage items plus boots. Like, that's just... Oh, I loved it. I loved it. He threw down the dark passage and just, like, walked right to the very edge. And then right as the two people tried to click on it, and right as they went to click on it, he just stepped right out of range. But GGLA taking advantage of the opportunity, going to get as much damage on this middle inhibitor tower as they can.
Yeah, Locust's going to go in here and go for the death sentence. It's not going to manage to land onto anybody, so they're going to have to back off and essentially just be content clearing this wave right now.
Oh, man, this is a very, very tense situation right now for Team Summon. I mean, the fact that this Vayne has gotten so far ahead and then has such a good supporting cast to go along with her, right? They didn't choose to play Protect the Vayne where you get, like, really beefy people with a lot of CC and consistent damage output that just kind of stand in front of her and make a wall, like the Renekton Nasus lineup or, I mean, anything like that. They went with people who have a lot of solid CC, but more than that, just a whole ton of damage. Like, Twisted Fate is able to consistently apply a lot of damage and be a threat, so you have to pay attention to him. That's one less person paying attention to Vayne. Rumble is going to be able to throw down the Equalizer, which is a big field of slow and a lot of good damage, and he's somewhat tanky, and he can get up in your face and deal a lot of damage. That's another person you have to pay attention to. They've got Nami for the ultimate for a little bit of disengage if they need it, and all sorts of other opportunities, but here's the shockwave!
There we go. There's the ultimate coming out from Oriana. Twisted Fate coming in with his ulti as well. Locust being forced out of here as Varus is taken down. Now Oriana in a world of pain as Vayne is coming in here, and she will manage to take him out. And now Renekton, Grim Samurai doing his best, forced to flee as well as the Condemn comes out against the Nexus, giving the triple kill to Locust, and he's going to go ahead and manage to pick up the Quadra off of Thresh now, and this is surely going to be GG.
Yeah, there was too many people to pay attention to, right? It was like, oh, Twisted Fate, let's get him down. Okay, we finally killed TF, great job. Oh, wait. There's a Dragon Slayer lady that's just killing everybody. I mean, just absolutely crazy play there out of Ulam. We just ran through him. I mean, I said it was absolutely crazy. Realistically, that was kind of matter of fact. Really, it was like nobody was hitting. It was like, okay, I guess I pop my ultimate and kill everyone now. Just ran through the entire lineup. Big quadra kill there, and that's going to be good for the win. GGLA take down the Nexus. Whew. All right, let's hop into the score screen here. Get some final counts on CS and whatnot. Everybody's big. I'm a fan of whatnot. You like whatnot?
Yeah, we'll go ahead and go with that. And oh my goodness, I get out of game, and apparently somebody decided to give me Spirit Guard Udyr. So I think you're watching the stream, but hey, thank you.
Oh, nice. That's always good. Ulam ending up 11-1-2 right there on the Vayne. Blade of the Rune King with the Static Shiv, the Last Whisper, and the Phantom Dancer as well. Just tremendous. I mean, really, that was just the Vayne game. It was the Vayne show from basically that first double kill, and then the second double kill, and then all the other kills that went along with it. Really, really great play, and big props to GGLA for creating those opportunities, creating that space, and channeling all that gold to just the right champion.
Exactly. So that is going to go ahead and seal the deal for GGLA. They will go ahead and take that in what was, at the end of it, a landslide victory. Looks like the